Hello AWS friends! Today let's set up a Kubernetes cluster on AWS. I have a second video setting up a Kubernetes cluster on AWS with Kops, which is pretty much easier, and that way you're gonna be much faster, and also this tutorial is shorter than this one. But it's interesting to see what Kops does there in background, and because we are interested in this, we're gonna set up this cluster with kube control and kube admin to understand what exactly is happening when Kops is installing this cluster. So let's get started. First, let's have a look in our README file. So you find, as usual, all the required files in my GitHub account. It is the project AWS Advanced, and you find there in the project key 8. Let's have a look. So here you find basically the README, some scripts to install the required tools like kube control, kube admin, setup of the cluster itself, and also for installing the dashboard, the create user YAML and the role binding YAML. So we're going to install our cluster in Ireland. As you can see here by here, it's pretty empty in here. I don't have any instances running, and we're going to start set up our master here in Ireland. So let's switch back to the README. Let's have a short overview on what we're gonna do. So first, we're going to launch our master, Kubernetes master. We're gonna select the EC2 instance, for example Ubuntu. Then we have to install the required tools for setting up the cluster: Docker, kubelet, kube admin, kube control, AWS command line. We're gonna set up the cluster itself, and also we're going to set up the dashboard. This one is optional, but I think that's a nice tool for administrating your cluster. For the nodes, we have to select again a EC2 instance, launch it, install all these preconditions, all these tools here, and then we have to execute the join command and add our node to our cluster. That's it basically. Here in the README you find already the most important commands, as you can see, setting up the cluster, and here at the very bottom you have the commands to install these tools. Okay, let's get started, and we're gonna launch our first instance. We're gonna launch our master. So I'm going to launch the master, and I'm gonna select a Ubuntu machine image. For our Kubernetes master, T2 micro is a little bit too small, so let's select a medium instance. We're gonna keep everything on default on this page, but one important detail. Let's open this advanced detail tab, and on this spot you can paste in some commands which are going to be executed when the instance is launched. And what we're going to do is, as I said, we need some preconditions. We need to install Docker, kubelet, and some other tools, where you can find at the end of this document the required commands, and also in the script install file. And I'm going to paste this whole script into this text box, and this means when the instance is going to be launched, you will find all these programs already installed. You can also do it yourself, so if you want to skip this part and launch the instance without these tools, just go ahead, and then you have to execute all of these commands later on after instance has launched. Just adding one tag, a name. I'm gonna select the existing security group, and I'm going to select my keeper for Ireland. And now the instance is launching, and if anything is working fine, the required tools for our Kubernetes master should already be installed when the instance is ready. So let's pause for a second and have a look. Our instance is ready, so let's see if we can connect to our instance. Yes, so by now we should be able to see these desired programs already been installed. As you can see, AWS command is installed, kube control, yes, and kube admin. So our script worked and everything is configured. Now we are ready to install our cluster. And let's see. These are the commands. First we have to elevate our privilege. Now we're going to execute the kube admin init command, which is important. So this means our cluster is gonna be prepared. And meanwhile this is gonna be executed. We're gonna pause for a second until this command is completed. I'm back and the kube admin init command is completed. What we're gonna do now, we have to copy this join command. Later on we're gonna need this for our nodes, and I'm gonna paste this in here for a second. And now we can continue with our setting up. And we're almost done for the master. 2 more commands and our master should be ready. And now we can have a look with the kube get nodes command, and we should see our master as output. Here we are. We have our first computer added to our cluster, and it's the master. So now we're going to continue installing our first node. Gonna switch back to EC2 and launch another instance. This one is our master, and again we're gonna select a Ubuntu machine image. to select a small instance, should be enough for our purpose. And once again, I'm gonna copy all these setup commands, install commands in this text field. And once our node is launched, it should already be fully installed. I'm gonna add one tag.
Let's begin.
This is my first node. Gonna select the existing security group, default one, and gonna select my key pair. And now our instance is about to launch. And let's pause for a second until this is completed. So let's see if we already can connect to our machine. I'm gonna use this connect command again. And I'm gonna use a new terminal. And now I'm connected to this machine, and I'm gonna use, maybe first let's have a look. Oh, it's still launching. AWS is ready, but Kube not already completed. Yes, by now. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to execute this choon command on this machine. We have to execute this as root. And now what we can check again is this command to get the nodes. But of course not on this one. We're gonna execute this on the master. And here you can see we have a master and we have our first node. So our cluster is completed. That's it basically. What we're gonna do by now is install our dashboard. We can switch to this file scripts dashboard and run this first command. Got it. Now let's create the user. Let's create the role binding. And before we open our dashboard, let's get the token. Here it is. And now we're gonna copy the token because we're gonna need it. And let's open dashboard. Now first we have to run one more command. This is kubectl proxy. And here we are. Our dashboard is ready. Let's see if our token is working. And here we are. This is our Kubernetes dashboard. And you can have a look on detail on your Kubernetes dashboard once you have it installed on your account. So that's it basically. Pretty easy to install this cluster. You find all commands and scripts in my GitHub. Thanks for listening and see you on the next lesson. Bye.